As Tommy is leaving school, he gets a phone call from his old friend Charles Bronson, no relation to the 70s action star. Charles just got out of Juvie after being busted for selling weed earlier in the year. Before he was busted, he was one of the dealers that Tommy would cop from. Tommy answers the phone. "Oh shit, you out?" Charles says, "What up, Doe? You already know it." Tommy says, "That's what's up, man." Charles says, "So I heard you're the man out here now." Tommy says, "I don't know, maybe something like that." Charles says, "I'm about to try to reconnect with my guy so I could get back on." Tommy then says, "Shit, I don't know about that." Charles responds, "What do you mean?" Tommy says, "You didn't hear? Man, you weren't the only one that got locked up. They got everybody." Charles says, "God damn. Well, look out for it, dude. You know I'm good for it." Tommy says, "Let's meet up. Where you at?" Charles says, "I'm in the HP at the treehouse. Come say what's up." "You ain't scared of Hazel Park now, are you, Tommy?" Tommy responds, "Man, do you know where I've been lately? Hazel Tucky don't bother me." Charles says, "Haha, just checking." Tommy heads to meet Charles at the treehouse in Hazel Park with a half-pound of marijuana. Charles sees Tommy at the door, opens it up to greet him. He says, "What up, Doe?" Charles daps him up and brings him in for a hug. Tommy says, "Just came to give you your welcome home present." Tommy throws half-pound of marijuana at Charles. Charles says, "Oh shit, good looks, man. You know this is light work compared to what I'm used to. I can handle a little bit more than this, motherfucker." Tommy says, "I don't doubt you can. Just got limited supply to spread around at the moment. We're expanding on to bigger things, if you know what I mean." Charles says, "Word? What's that? Mushrooms? Acid?" Tommy says, "Nah, man. Ecstasy." Charles says, "God damn, little dude doing big things." One of Charles' friends from the background stands up and raises his voice at Tommy. "He is supposed to be my shit. Your boy is walking on my territory, Charles." Tommy says, "Man, who the fuck is this?" Charles says, "That's Ice Cream Man. Ayo, Ice Cream, chill. Didn't your connect get busted anyway?" Ice Cream says, "That don't mean nothing. I'm going to find another one and be up and running in no time. I don't need no problems." Tommy says, "Shit, man, we're going to need more people to help move this shit. Sounds like we can help each other out." Ice Cream says, "I ain't working for you, Madison Heights. Fuck out of here." Tommy says, "Hey, don't bite the hand that feeds you." Ice Cream says, "Man, what the fuck you say?" Charles gets between them. Hey, let's all relax here. We're all cool." Brothers Nate and Cody are on the couch smoking weed, and Nate says, "Hey, can you get any pills?" Tommy says, "Pills? Like what? I told you I got E." "No, man, like Vicodin, Oxy, Adderall, Xanny bars." Tommy says, "What the fuck? You want to do some old people drugs?" Cody says, "You don't need any of that Adderall, Nate. You get way too crazy on that." Nate says, "Shut up, Cody. Mind your business." Charles says, "Hey, he's got a point. Them old people drugs got you missing out on some money." Tommy responds, "Don't you need a prescription for all that? That shit's got to be harder to get than street shit." Charles says, "That's why people pay big money for it." Tommy says, "God damn, y'all motherfuckers got me out here trying to be the Walmart of drugs or something. Get me back 600 on that half, and I'll look into the pills." Charles says, "All right, little bro." Tommy and Charles dap it up, and Tommy leaves. Michael and Maximo are picking up their friend Niko from the airport, who just got in from his home country, Albania. Maximo gets out to greet Niko. Niko extends his arm to hug Maximo. "Hello, brother." Maximo says, "Good to have you back. Thought you'd be in Albania way longer." Niko says, Some things came up. No big deal, my friend. So where the bitches at?" Michael says, "This guy's been back to America for 5 seconds and can't keep his dick in his pants." Niko says, Michael, I see you're still nice and fat for me with those juicy titties." Michael pushes him off. I see you can barely speak English, you boater fuck. Niko gets in back seat. Let's go party. Let's go to club. Fuck many bitches, yes? Maximo says, we got a lot to catch you up on. Niko sees the gun under Maximo's seat, picks it up. Ah, it fits right in my hand like young pussy. Michael says, watch where you're pointing that thing, you fucking oafty. Niko says, I need to borrow this, Maximo. I know that won't be a problem. Maximo says, I got you. You know you're like a brother I never had. Michael looks at Maximo. What the fuck? Maximo puts his hand on Michael's shoulder. You know I love you, fat boy. Michael responds, yeah, I love you too, you big-nosed monstrosity. At the police station, Police Chief Davis is holding a weekly briefing for the new rookie officers. Davis finishes up his briefing. So our primary focus is going to be making the road safer. Drunk driving and reckless driving are on the rise, so we're going to put a bigger presence around our schools in the day and at bars during the night. Any questions? Brad raises his hand. Davis says, yes, Brad? Brad says, what are we doing about these drug busts I'm hearing about? Davis says, that problem seems to be smaller than recently assumed. It looks like any recent bust was just from older supply. We have no reason to believe there's a new supplier in town. Brad says, no disrespect, Chief, but aren't the drugs a bigger problem than speeding tickets? Don't you think we should be paying a little more attention to that? Davis says, we have to stop focusing on the past and focus on the future. Brad says, but Chief? Davis says, we have our orders from the higher up. Now that's the end of this conversation. Brad says, orders from who? The mayor? Sighs and groans from the other officers. What's he know about policing? Shouted from the back. Davis says, that's it. If I hear one more outburst about this, you're getting an unpaid suspension from your patrol. Is that understood? Silence from officers. Davis says, I said, is that understood, officers? The officers repeat unenthusiastically, yes, Police Chief Davis. Police Chief Davis exits the briefing room. Brad turns to a fellow rookie officer, Ronald. He says, can you believe this? This is bullshit. Ronald says, hey, it's like he said, it's not that big of a problem anymore. Brad says, yeah, right. I don't buy that for a second. Drugs don't disappear. Ronald says, hey, settle down there, Speedy. You just joined the force. Now, I haven't been here that much longer than you, but if you want my advice, keep your opinions to yourself and do what you're told. Brad crosses his arms and shakes his head. Doesn't make any sense. Later on at Tommy's house, him and his dad Fred are watching TV after dinner. A news program is on, and a voice from the TV is heard. Methylenedioxymethamphetamine, or better known on the streets as ecstasy, has become a growing problem with the youth in our country. Showing various pictures of ecstasy pills, the news anchor says, these drugs in pill form come in bright colors, with brand symbols imprinted on them, brands such as Mercedes, BMW, Ferrari, and even Pikachu and Superman. These clearly are aimed at kids and can look as innocent as chewable candy. After reports of this drug causing brain damage, overdose, and even being linked to suicide, parents are concerned. A scientist comes on the screen in his lab showing MRI scans. What MDMA does is it causes an explosion of serotonin in the brain. This is what gives the feeling of ecstasy, so to speak, which is why it's been given that street name. Unfortunately, the brain is not supposed to produce that much serotonin that fast, which causes a big depletion once the high is over. As you can see in these two MRI scans, the one on the left is a brain that hasn't used any MDMA, and the one on the right has. You'll notice what looks like holes, which are areas that no longer are producing brain activity. Based on our research, We believe the severe depletion of serotonin and the severance of brain synapses is causing an extreme level of depression in the teens that are using this drug, as they are preventing their brains from being able to produce serotonin on its own, therefore linking to the increasing suicide rate among that age group. Fred leans over to Tommy and says, "So Tommy, have you ever seen any of this stuff or know anyone that's using it?" Tommy says, "No, Dad. I've never even heard of this stuff, to be honest." Fred says, Well, it seems pretty popular." Tommy says, "I'm not sure. Seems kind of dangerous to me." Fred says, "You know you could tell me anything, right?" Tommy says, "I know, Dad." Tommy gets a text from Steven. "I'm outside." Tommy says, "I'm going to Steven's for a bit. I'll be back later." Fred says, "Always on the go these days, aren't you? Don't be out past 11. It's a school night." Tommy says, "I won't. I'll be back for my bedtime. Don't worry." Tommy gets in Steven's car. Steven says, "So what's the deal with that half-pound you took from the supply?" Tommy says, "Oh, Charles just got out. I fronted it to him to help him get back into the game." Steven says, "What, you weren't going to tell me? We're supposed to be partners, man." Tommy says, "Chill the fuck out, dog. You know he's good for it. He's who we used to buy from, remember? He knows what he's doing." Steven says, "Yeah, and how do I know he's not going to have a problem going from being the supplier to the supplied?" Tommy says, "Me and him go way back." Steven says, "I'm not as worried about him as I am about those Hazel Park ruffians he hangs out with. Those people are shady as fuck." Tommy says, "Sounds like you're stereotyping a bit there, Steven. I think you need to expand your horizons." Steven says, "Man, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean." Steven and Tommy arrive at a 7-Eleven to meet Michael, Maximo, and Niko so they can buy alcohol for the night. They get out of their cars before they go into the store together. Niko says, "Hey, party people." Tommy says, "What up, Doe? Who's this?" Maximo says, "This is my boy Niko from Albania. I told you about him." Niko says, "So I hear you boys need some drinky drinks, eh?" Steven says, "That's why we're here. Usually Maximo gets us, though." Niko says, "Oh, nonsense. This is on me. It's a celebration." Steven says, Well, we weren't planning on going that hard tonight." Niko says, "Oh, we go cock hard tonight. We go cock hard and we fuck the bitches." They proceed into the store and pick out cases of beer and a couple fifths of liquor. The person working the register says, "That'll be $68.76. ID, please." Niko says, "Oh, it's no problem." Hands over the ID. The person at the register says, "Thank you, sir." Niko responds, "Oh, no, thank you, sir." The person working the register says, I'm a woman." Niko says, "Oh, my apologies. I couldn't tell because of the mustache. You have a good night." The boys put their faces in their hands and try to hold back laughter. They all exit the store. The next day in school, in the cafeteria, Smiles, a freshman that deals for Tommy, comes up to him and tells him that he's sold out and he's ready to re-up. Smiles says, "Hey, Tommy, man, what's good?" Tommy says, "I'm good, man. How you been?" Smiles says, "Business is good. I'm all sold out, ready to cop. I'm just trying to get some more from you." Tommy says, "That's what's up. I'll make sure we get you another ounce after school." Smiles says, "An ounce? Man, I sold through that super quick. Let me get a half-pound." Tommy says, "Whoa, now. Let's take things a little slow here. I'll give you 2 ounces and we'll take it from there." Smiles says, "Tommy, come on, man. You being stingy out here." Tommy says, "Look, man, we'll talk about this after school. I don't need anyone knowing our business that doesn't need to know." Smiles says, "All right, man, I'll hit you up." When Tommy is heading to class after lunch, Principal Gordon flags him down and asks if he could come into his office. Tommy, acting nervous that the principal may have found out about the drug operation, asks, what's going on, Mr. Gordon? Principal Gordon says, just wanted to catch up with you. I like to do that from time to time. Tommy says, I don't want to be late for class. You know how serious you guys are taking tardies now. Gordon says, oh, don't worry about that, Tommy. I'll make sure you're excused. Tommy heads into Principal Gordon's office with him and sits down. Gordon says, so Tommy, how have things been going lately? I see your grades aren't the greatest, but I am seeing some big improvement. Tommy says, yeah, I have been studying harder and trying to make the most out of school that I can. Gordon says, I'm glad to hear that. Life can be really hard for those that don't get a high school diploma, you know. So I see that you were chatting it up with Derek Smith, or Smiles, as they call him by his gang name. Tommy says, gang name? Gordon says, oh, you may think I'm an old fart, but I spent a lot of years on the force. I know gang activity when I see it. Tommy says, he's like 14. I don't think he's in a gang. I don't think anyone's been in a gang since like the 90s. Gordon says, I just don't want to see you getting caught up in the wrong crowd, Tommy. These years are defining for who you're going to be as an adult. Tommy says, I get it. I just don't think you have to worry about anything with Derek, though. Gordon says, I'm just keeping a vigilant eye on things since the school district decided to switch to open enrollment. Now all these kids from the inner city are coming in and bringing a criminal element. I spent my entire career trying to keep this place clean. I'm not going to have it go down the drain. Do you understand? Tommy says, I understand, Principal Gordon. Gordon says, I see that you've befriended Stephen Clark recently. Now he's a good student. It makes sense that your grades have been up since. Tommy, with a guilty smile, knowing his grades went up because he started copying all of Stephen's homework, says, yeah, he's a great study buddy. Gordon says, well, all right. I'll let you get back to class now. Keep an eye on things for me, Tommy. I see you're friends with a wide variety of people here. Remember, this is your school, too. Tommy says, sounds good, Mr. Gordon. As Tommy walks through the hallway to class, he notices a group by the lockers, of which used to just be regular kids, but have now become skinheads, wearing camo pants and shirts with Confederate flags. As Tommy walks by them, he shakes his head and says to himself, fucking weirdos. It's no doubt the recent integration of a city that was once predominantly white has a racial tension building up from under the surface. As Tommy, Steven, Marcus, and Andre are leaving school, one of the nerdy kids named Eugene approaches them. Eugene says, hey, guys, how's it going? All the boys laugh. Steven, annoyed, says, what do you want, Eugene? Eugene says, hey, don't be an asshole, Steven. Just because you're part of the cool kids now, don't think I forgot where you came from. Marcus says, hey, it's all good, Gene. How can we help you? Eugene says, so I know you guys throw the coolest parties, and it's helped make you guys more popular. Andre says, man, Eugene, popular is such an abstract term. You got to think outside the box, man. Eugene, looking puzzled at Andre, says, anyway, I was hoping you guys could do that for me. The boys look at each other with serious doubt on their face. Steven says, I don't think it works like... Tommy interrupts. Don't listen to them, Eugene. I think we can help you. You know, I've always liked you. Eugene says, yeah, says the guy that used to call me Huge Jeans because of how high my pants were. You know, that doesn't even make sense. Tommy says, hey, I thought it was a cool look. Eugene says, I'm not stupid, Tommy. You can quit the friendly act. I know this is strictly business. Marcus rubs his hands together. We got a businessman over here. Eugene says, yes, Marcus, and don't think I forgot about competing against you at your old school's band competition either. Marcus says, hey, that's fucked up, man. I told you don't tell nobody that shit. Tommy says, Oh shit, we got Marcus on the sax over here. Marcus says, that's racist, Tommy. I played the bass drum. Eugene says, anyway, I'm going to pay you for your services. How's $500 sound? Tommy says, sounds pretty good to me. Let me get your number and we'll get at you. Eugene says, my parents are going to be away this weekend. Does that work for you, gentlemen? Steven rolls his eyes. Tommy says, let's go. We going to make it happen. Eugene leaves and Steven says, what the hell? We're party planners now? Tommy says, you're thinking about it all wrong, man. This is an opportunity to expand. Steven says, what are you talking about? Tommy says, we've just been operating out of your house on the hopes your parents will be gone. Now we won't have to do that anymore. Steven says, what? You're going to turn Eugene's house into a drug operation? Tommy says, no. We're going to turn every house into a drug operation.